Here's another video. This is another Anschutz air rifle. It's pretty similar to the 2001, which I've done an extensive video on. And yeah, I'm going to zoom in here and you see it says SuperAir 2002. It's pretty similar, except you'll see this is a toggle lock. It doesn't slide. The other one, you flip a hook and then to lock it in. This is where you put your pellet in. You throw that lever down, locks in very tightly. Okay, so that's what's different about this, the 2002. I'm going to zoom back out again. I don't have any spacers on this one for the cheek rest or the buttstock, because with iron sights you really don't need them. I did have a scope on here once, but the front rail here and the rear rail here are at different heights. So what I did, I made a offset scope adapter. These are 30 millimeter rings, which I sleeve down to 1 inch. And I think this one here goes there and this one here goes there. Just to compensate for the height difference, because otherwise, and there's nothing else out here like this. This is like custom made and there's no such thing out there. But anyhow, this worked very well. But I did take the scope off because I wanted to shoot irons a little bit. So anyhow, you can put any scope in here, a Chinese one, a Leopold, anything you want. It'll work. Anything that's 1 inch tube. Okay, all right. I'm going to pause this and take it around to the other side. And then one thing about this is that this is a left-handed model, and the other one had the cocking lever on the other side. And this is a true left hand. Even the stock back here is left-handed cheek piece. And I bought this right after I got the other one because I was like, sometimes I was going to shoot left-handed sometimes, just for something different. And technically I'm a left-handed person. I write left-handed, blah, blah, blah. But I've always done everything kind of ambidextrous as best I can. So I thought, well, I'll just pick this lefty up. And lefties are very, very rare. But I think I've only seen 1 or 2 of them on the air gun sites in many, many, many years. They had to be custom ordered, and they're just, of course, there's not many left-handers, and then there's very few left-handed shooters, and then, so that's that. But this is a true left-handed. Sometimes I shoot it right-handed. I got a little sharp edge here, but it doesn't bother me that much. These are the iron sights that are on there. These are made by Anschutz. We have an adjustable aperture here to make the little peep sight go bigger and smaller. I'm going to pull the, oh yeah, about loading these things. Like if this toggle was open and you tried to cock it, you find out it's not compressing any air. Everything has to be done in a precise order. Like this would be after a shot. Now when you do that, that thing pops up, and then it's pretty difficult to close this, or reasonably. And once again, it's creating over 2,000 pounds pressure there. So after you've done all that, then you put your pellet in there. It's got like a little O-ring here. And you toggle it down, and then you shoot it. And I'm going to pull the trigger here. But if you find that you're cocking this and it's not compressing, it's because you're doing things out of order. Everything has to be 1, 2, 3. That's just the way they set the rifle up. Normally when I store it, I kind of like leave the handle out. I leave the toggle up so that nothing is compressed for a long period of time, 6 months, a year, whatever it is. So that's the way I normally store it. To clean these kind of air guns, like I said, let me see where I am here. Okay, the barrel only goes to about here. Then you got just a hollow tube down there. And I could buy a long, 30, 40 inch 17 caliber cleaning rod. But then if you're going, you have to shove it in from the muzzle, and you're going to have a hard time finding the end of that barrel down here because it's just floating. So what most people do, and this is very acceptable in the air gun world, is to use a piece of weed whacker string. And this particular one here, I put a little thing on the end of it so that the patch won't come off. And we feed this, and a lot of air gunners just use Goo Gone because you get a little buildup of oil, and the oil gets a little gummy in there, and sometimes there's lead dust and stuff like that. But most people put a few drops of Goo Gone on this, and then feed this all the way down the barrel till it pops out the end, and then you pull it through. And of course, you don't ever want to get one of these things caught in the barrel. So start off with a small one. This is like 7/16 by an inch or something like that, and it goes through with just like the correct amount of feel. Not too hard, not too soft, but you can adjust that. And if you're going to store it away for a long time, put a drop of some kind of non-acid type gun oil on there, and then just coat the barrel with that, and then you can put it away for years probably, or 6 months or something, and you don't have to think about that barrel in there, which is steel, ever getting any rust in it, because once you get rust in it, the whole gun's gone. There's no such thing as rebarreling these. So it is what it is. But anyhow, weed whacker string, and of course it's not non-abrasive, and it works very well. And that's what I use. And I could buy anything I want. And then once again in the muzzle, I made just a little plug there, and it's got a little bit of knurling on it, but the knurling is not fat enough to be snug in there, so I kind of like wired around there with the front sight base. Yeah, this cuts down the noise drastically. It ain't that big, but it really works good. It takes the edge off the shooting. Okay, I'm gonna pull this camera off and walk around. Once again, and these Anschutz SuperAirs were made in like the late 1980s, early 1990s, when they were still popular, and they actually used them in air rifle competition. But since then, they've gone to like pre-compressed. You got to have an air compressor, and you blow them up and stuff like that. But this is the old manual model. Once again, we got weights on the end. You really don't need them, but I just left them on there anyhow. There's the iron sight, and once again there's a rail underneath here, and there's a pocket milled in here. One of the rifles has a hunk of metal, I think, inside there, just to make all the rifles the same weight when they weigh them in at a competition. At a competition, everything has to be exactly precise. If it's gram over, microgram over, it'll be disallowed. So they have a way of adjusting the rifles. So, okay. That's all. And I paid $645 for this one. And it was an auction site called Carol Watson. And it was in California. And it's a wonderful, wonderful rifle, just as accurate as the other one. There's no real difference. And I made a level here. This level here, it's kind of hard to see because we got so much black here. But anyhow, I have it below the barrel, because if it's above the barrel, it kind of interferes with the sight picture here. You know, the level is like kind of in the way, and so I made a custom mount here with an old scope ring. I milled it off. I put a piece of aluminum in here, and then I put glued a bubble on top. So that works pretty well and gets it out of the way. So when you're sighting along there, once in a while you can just glance down there and tell if your rifle is somewhat level or not. But it works really well. Like I said, this has an adjustable aperture here. You can turn it and make the little peephole go bigger or smaller. There's probably a set of rings in there to make this peephole go bigger and smaller too. But Wonderful rifle. I think I said I already paid $645 for it, and it's probably worth more than that now, because it's a lefty, and of course they haven't made them for ages and ages and ages. And here's a kind of a close up on these rings. And I'm going to leave those blue Delrin things in there so I know and anybody else will know that it goes on this rifle, because the two dovetails are not the same height. On the 2001 model, they are the same height, but this one here is different for some crazy reason. So anyhow, that's all I know about the Anschutz 2002 SuperAir.